Coleone. You already know what it is, man. We're back with another video, and today I want to do a recap of the Black History Month podcast. So unfortunately, the podcast audio got kind of messed up, and it was very hard to hear. And so, yeah, I didn't want to release it because if I'm gonna do the podcast, I want you guys to at least be able to hear it. So I've got some new mics and stuff. So hopefully, going forward, we won't have any more audio issues. With that being said, I didn't just want to scrap the whole idea because I think this is a topic that definitely needs to be talked about. I think it's a very interesting topic, to be honest, something I'm kind of passionate about, and also to talk about it because why not? It's Black History Month, why not? You know what I'm saying? So we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm not wasting no time. So basically, in this video, I'm just gonna do like a recap of what we talked about in that last podcast, and it's basically gonna be talking about the history, like the Black history that no one really talks about, like. You know what I'm saying? Like today we're going back in time. We're going back in time to a time where people don't really like talk about, you know what I'm saying? Because Black history, we've heard all the stories. We heard about Martin Luther King. We've heard about Rosa Parks. We've heard about Emmett Till. We've heard them all. You know what I'm saying? We've heard all the stories. And I feel like Black History Month has become something that it's almost like like every year we just reminisce on like the trauma and the bad things, you know what I'm saying? Like we always focus on slavery and discrimination and all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, like it's good to learn about those things so we don't like repeat history and whatnot. But I feel like when we totally focus on just the trauma of Black History Month, I feel like it's not it doesn't really paint a good narrative. It kind of, I don't think I feel like it's not good for the mindset. I feel like it develops like a negative mindset around Black history, right? And so with that podcast, what I wanted to do, the goal was to create a different narrative, more positive mindset towards Black history, because it's more than just slavery. Black history is way more than just slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing in schools and whatnot. You grew up not knowing about Black history, right? And then you end up, I didn't even know who Mansa was till like 2 years ago, to be honest with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that like I went a whole 21-ish years of life without knowing who that was. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would have thought that someone would have taught you something like that, right? But that's what this video and that podcast is there to educate people on. So basically, I just want to say a disclaimer, like not to discredit Martin Luther or any of those people, right? It's good to learn about history so we don't repeat it. It's good to learn about the people who fought for rights and freedoms. But I also believe that it's also good to learn about other people too in Black history, because we can't just leave them out of Black history because they're a part of it. Black history is more than just what happened in the discrimination, slave era. Today we're gonna talk about like way before that. We're gonna go way back. I don't know which century it is. I think it was the 15th century. And back in the day, there were people called the Moors. So the Moors were people. They were of African and they were also of Arab descent. So to break down, what is a Moor? So a Moor back in the day, when they saw a Moor, it was like another word for calling someone like a dark person or like a Black person. Like Moor, like it's a very universal term, right? Because I feel like there was like so many definitions for the term Moor. Like whenever they saw like someone who was like of darker skin tone, they would refer to them as a Moor, right? But Moors, they were actually of like Arab and African descent. So I think it was the beginning of the Muslim dynasty, right? Because that's back when Islam was becoming a lot more like popular, right? And I guess at that time, there was this huge dynasty, a group of people that consisted of people from African descent, Arab descent, you know what I'm saying? And these guys actually went in and took over Spain at one point, and they also I think it was Spain and Portugal. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know it was Spain, and they played a huge role in like, advancement in like algebra. You can also see examples of like the impact that the Moors have made today. Like for example, I don't think they had a direct impact in Italy, but I think they because because I think at the time they moved around and stuff because this was a time where like it was like the rise of like Islam, so they wanted to really go in there and push for that, right? And so they traveled around like Europe and all that stuff, right? And they were very advanced civilization, and Italy happened to take some inspiration from them. Like you can see it through their architecture. So for example, like you could see it through you could see the influence through, like for example, Spain. Like they use words like algoritmo, those came from the Moors. um you know you could see the influence on like architecture and like even the style in places like Italy and all that stuff, because the Moors, they played a huge role in shaping like history. Like, and nobody's ever taught me that. I didn't even know what the Moors were until like 2 years ago. It didn't even occur to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, until I watched the documentary Hidden Colors. That's where that's where the curiosity started. When I watched, I'll link the documentary down below. When I watched the documentary, that's when the curiosity came in, and I started researching, trying to find out like the truth and history, right? But yeah, so basically summing up, the Moors, they were a Muslim dynasty, you know what I'm saying, of African descent. Um, and yeah, and if you the Moors, I think they eventually they settled in the Ottoman Empire. Like they eventually, some of them, for example, like nowadays, like a lot of people who would be like considered like more descent would be like, so for example, like Moroccans, right? Like those guys, that's why they're a little bit more light skinned, because the Moors were consisted of like African and Arab descent. So they were like, you know what I mean, they mixed up together and stuff, and that's why, for a lot of them went back to Africa, right? And that's why you see like Moroccans, they're like, those are mainly their descendants, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the Moors. Another person I wanted to bring up in this video is Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa was a king of Mali. He was probably the richest man to ever live. He was richer than Jeff Bezos. Like he had guap, like he had money, bro. Like he had bands, bro. Like this guy had bands, bro. He had bands, bro. Like this guy was like making it rain everywhere he went. Literally. Like he was doing a rain dance, bro. Like he was making it rain like everywhere he went. Like he would travel throughout Africa, and he was really big into Islam as well. And he eventually I think he everywhere he went, he would give out money, and he built like a bunch of mosques and stuff. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he went broke eventually, because he was like, because back then, there was not really financial literacy like that. So he was just giving out money like crazy. Like he was like, yeah, like I think the reason why he had so much money was because he owned a lot of gold, and that's mainly where a lot of his riches came from. Yeah, like that. It's crazy though. Like the richest man to ever live. He looked like me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was melanated. He was melanated. He had some melanin skin. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, those are and those two examples of Black history is literally just the tip of the iceberg. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much more about Black history, right? And I wish the audio wouldn't have gotten trashed in the podcast, because that episode, it was just, you know what I'm saying, we talked about a lot more different examples in history and stuff, right? And yeah, it was unfortunate, but I didn't want to just scrap the whole idea, because I think it's very important for y'all to get educated, and I have linked some stuff down below to help you guys with the education process. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but what I was trying to say, like, I think it's very important for you to know about your history, because I feel like it builds like competence and confidence in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like when you constantly teach about like Black history being like something about, oh, you were once a slave, you were discriminated against, you weren't equal, you know what I'm saying? Like you start to think things like, it wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it doesn't put you in the right mindset. I feel like it puts you in this mindset of like you feel lesser of yourself. Like it's important to learn, because I feel like it develops like this victim mentality, where we believe that we start to think like we don't have opportunities because of the color of our skin, when that's the opposite. That's not true. And I feel like as long as you can breathe, walk, talk, you know, smell, hear, think. You know, you could do whatever you want to be. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, you know, if you know where you truly come from, if you know that your history is not only just slavery, you'll start to finally believe that about yourself. You'll finally start to believe that you are capable of much more. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of systemic racism or whatever, you can do whatever you want to do in this life. You know what I'm saying? And I think it starts with learning about your history. I think that's where it all starts. You know what I mean? Just fixing the mindset. I think it starts with that, you know. Then we can overcome that mentality of like, you know, obviously, you know, I'm not gonna ignore the fact that, you know, there is still like discrimination out there, but you know, there's nothing really. I mean, you can spread awareness, yes, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to become the change you want to see, right? And that starts with you. It starts with doing the research. It starts with, you know, finding out about your history, you know, and getting in that mindset that you are competent enough that you can be anything you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, like it's not to like it's good to learn about history. It's good to learn not to repeat history, right? But I think we should focus on Black history as a whole, because we only focus that's only a sliver of Black history. That's not, you know, you don't want that to define what Black history is. That's just a sliver of it. You know what I'm saying? Like Black history is literally like it's huge. Like I can't even fit it in this whole video. Like that's how big it is, man. Like it's huge. Like I've only talked about the tip of the iceberg of it. Like there's so much about Black history that we don't know. And I bet you if you're watching this, you probably don't know about Black history as much as you think you do. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't even know who Mansa Musa is. You probably don't even know who Yusuke was. You probably don't even know who the Moors were. You know what I'm saying? Like it just goes to show like we actually don't know a lot about our history. You know what I'm saying? Like we just haven't been taught. Like we tend to focus on like it's like anything above like 1800s, it's like we just ignore it, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta stop doing that. I think we gotta uncover the whole history, right? And that's what I wanted to do with that podcast, because every year I'm gonna come back with more research, you know what I'm saying? And I want to educate y'all on Black history, because I think it's important, you know what I'm saying? So every year we're gonna be doing Black History Month podcast. We're gonna make it happen. Unfortunately, this year it wasn't much of a podcast. I mean, I just gave you this video, but next year for sure there will be a Black History Month podcast. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully the audio will be better and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's very important to learn about, you know, the true, I'm gonna say it, the true Black history. You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of you guys, I guarantee you, for watching this video, you don't know about Black history. You don't. Like, I probably bet you anything. You don't, you know, you probably didn't even know about Mansa Musa before I told you about Mansa Musa. You probably didn't even know about the Moors. You know what I'm saying? And there's so much more that you know, even so much more that I don't even know, and I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of the reason why I made this video. And a little disclaimer too, like this video in no shape or form is it trying to say like we're like the superior race or anything like that. Like I believe that there's, you know, you can uplift yourself without putting anyone else down, right? Like I feel like, you know, there's a lot of like that kind of messaging where some people try to say like, you know, you're superior, you know what I mean? There's no superiority complex thing going on like that. You know, this video is just for the purposes of educating, you know, about educating people about Black history, and you know, and just changing the narrative around it. You know what I'm saying? You know, because Mansa Musa is Black history, you know. Yusuke is Black history. The Moors are Black history. These guys are all a part of Black history. You know what I'm saying? So, and I hope that, you know, through this video, like more people will start to like go take it upon themselves and do more research on like Black history and all that stuff, and like just like, you know, just have a different perspective on Black history, and really just like, you know, like dig deep and really just do research. You know what I'm saying? Like after this video, you should just go do some research. You know what I'm saying? I have some stuff linked down below. Like I'll have like all the sources that I use for the research for this video. You know what I'm saying? Home Team, shout out Home Team. They're a good YouTube channel for Black history. their link down below. Hidden Colors is a documentary that I watched. That's a really good source. Even chatbot GPT, I use some of chatbot GPT, you know what I'm saying? I use some AI. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, bro. I use some AI to make this video. I ain't gonna cap, you know what I'm saying? But you know, that's what I'm saying. Like after this video, like you should just go do your research. You know, I think Black History Month, I think by the time this video releases, probably be like 5 days. You know, we got the shortest month of the year. But that's not the point. The point is, every day is Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to wait until February to do the research. You could do it. You can do whenever you want to. You can do it right now. You know what I'm saying? I think as long as a Black person, you should be, you know, doing the, you know, I shouldn't you like you should be curious, bro. You should be curious on like, you know, like your ancestors and where they came from. You should genuinely want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like you should just want to know like what was going on. Like I don't know. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and more podcasts to come. With that being said, you